Good evening, and welcome to the Miracle of Prosperity here on the New Thought Media Network. I'm your host, Reverend Jim Webb, author of the book The Soul of Prosperity, as well as several others, including Prosperity from A to Z, 30 P's for Prosperity, and one that is quite seasonally popular now, Create Your Self-Manifesting Vision Board. Every week, we explore prosperity, for we understand that prosperity is multifaceted. It's not just money and stuff. Prosperity might be relationship prosperity, where your relationships are supportive and uplifting. Prosperity might be professional prosperity, where, in the words of Catherine Ponder, you have a wonderful Florence Scovel Shinn, you have a wonderful job with wonderful pay, where you provide a wonderful service in a wonderful way. We could be talking about family prosperity, where your family members and family relationships are uplifting and supportive, or physical prosperity, where your body operates perfectly for its purpose and your life works logistically. So there are so many aspects of prosperity, including financial prosperity, where your finances are never a source of worry or stress, but are a source of joy and a force for joy. So we talk about that all in the context of A Course in Miracles. We look not only at what we can do to experience more prosperity, but in truth, we look at what we can release in order to uncover, discover, and recover the prosperity that is already there and that is our divine birthright. And we're doing a very special show tonight. We're doing a show on the healing power of self-love. For as you may recall, in the book, The Soul of Prosperity, the core premise is that self-love is the key to prosperity. And with one of our previous guests, Mr. Jerome Bragg, we came to that same conclusion. So I thought it would be useful to introduce that topic even more. So we're going to work with the healing power of self-love tonight. And I have a very special guest with me tonight. I have Tracy Interlandi. And I want to introduce you to Tracy Interlandi. Hi, Tracy.
Hello, good evening, everyone. It's an honor to be
It's
here.
It's so good to have you. So let me tell you a little about Tracy. Tracy is an award-winning business consultant. Her written work is featured in Women's Quarterly magazine. And she's also a contributing author to the recently released book, Deserts to Mountaintop, Choosing Our Healing Through Radical Self-Acceptance. So who better to talk to us about self-love and the healing power of self-love? Now,
Well,
Tracy, I know you've had quite the journey. So, can you tell our viewers a little bit about your journey to self love and your ongoing experience and quest for self love?
absolutely. Ongoing is key. That's for
Yes.
sure. So my journey began really when the record scratched shortly
Mm,
after my college graduation. I was
yes.
attacked by 11 people
Mm-hmm.
with knives and bricks
Mm-hmm.
and left unconscious in a parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, I had a near death out of body experience.
Mm,
And when I came to, I um immediately did not condemn them. I wanted to release them from my consciousness and call it a day. And I did
mm,
just that and figured we're good. Let's keep
mm.
going with life.
Okay.
But as court trials went on, and a year later, court trial after court trial, and hearing what happened to my lifeless body in that parking lot, uh,
Mm,
I was very shaken,
mm-hmm.
and I experienced a lot of post-traumatic stress, of
Yeah.
course, and a huge amount of disordered eating. I just wanted to take up less space. I
Mm-hmm.
had a huge amount of difficulty knowing who I was, my
Mm-hmm.
identity prior to that attack in those court cases. I was a very accomplished dancer. I had received my degree in kinesiology, had a job waiting for me in Salt Lake City. And then Tracy the dancer was now the waitress who got attacked.
Mm.
And I didn't know who I was. And
Mhm.
so I chose to try and disappear because that made sense to me at the time. Uh, Spent some time in the hospital in an eating disorder unit.
Mhm.
Upon coming out, I was like, all right, well, let's just go on with life. And everything seemed to fall back in place with a new normal, but the disordered eating always snuck up. Like when you
Mm.
sprain an ankle and you think it's
Mhm.
healed, and then you step on it funny one day and it's sore and achy, and you're like, oh, that sprained ankle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you just have to tread lightly until it heals again.
Mhm.
And so as time was passing, I kept saying, well, I'll tend to that after I get married,
Mhm.
after I get pregnant, after I
Mhm.
have kids. Lo and behold, on my 43rd birthday, my kids were eating my birthday cake and said, Mama, why aren't you eating your birthday cake? And that's when I knew. I just knew I never wanted it to get to this point.
Mhm.
And so I had to figure out, where did this come from?
Mhm.
And I traveled back. And I like to say, just like the detective who just grilled each of the attackers
Mhm.
in his office, I grilled each one of my experiences and my
Mhm.
my time in my younger as my younger self. What was that
Yes.
experience like? What was I thinking? What was I feeling?
Mhm.
And how can I love on that self and gain a new perspective from it?
Mm. Wow. So it sounds like what you did was a very therapeutic and almost shamanic journey back to the different aspects of yourself that needed love, and you, as the wise conduit and channel for love, channeled that love to those aspects of yourself. Is that an accurate way to understand what you did as part of your
Ab-
healing journey?
Absolutely, 100%. And the interesting thing is, even going back to those parts of me and those very, very vivid experiences, feelings of loneliness, confusion, sadness, hopelessness, was an awareness of love is actually here. And the way
Mm.
I remember it really isn't how it truly was. Love really was there
Mm.
the whole way. Even
Mm.
if it's just my future self pouring love into my younger self, saying, everything's going to be okay. Trust me.
Mm. Yes, so it sounds like you took a different perspective, almost like a mountaintop perspective, where you could see the love that you couldn't see from ground level. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. And gave thanks.
Mm.
Because the funny thing is that prior to the attack, prior to my out of body experience,
Mm-hmm.
I was very much focused on my body and how
Mm-hmm.
my body presented because I was a dancer on stage, and
Yes.
that's how I expressed myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that out of body experience gave me the opportunity to become aware that I am more than my body is just a shell. That
Yes.
out of body experience was glorious. It was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And it was safety, it was peace, and it was love.
Wow. So it
Mm.
sounds like you actually lived that lesson in A Course in Miracles that we used to set us free called I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me.
Created me.
It sounds like you went to that place where you recognized yourself as much more than a body, and you remembered yourself as an eternal energy of light. And in that, there was freedom, peace, safety, comfort, and oneness with God.
Yes,
So now I can
that's my
understand.
sanctuary.
Yes. So now I can understand why how this was so life changing for you, and why
Mhm.
you, on many levels, are thankful to have had this experience.
Right. Without that experience, I would still be clinging on to materials and things and uh, experiences and titles that
Mm,
would display my identity.
yes. But you connect it with your true identity, your higher identity,
Mm.
your eternal identity, and you shifted your focus to that.
Right.
Wow. Wow. So it sounds like the part of you that had an eating disorder needed a lot of love poured into it. Tell us a little bit more about that, Tracy.
Oh yeah, the love poured into that part of me also came with that release of shame. It was a very shameful experience to have disordered eating because I knew that it wasn't my purpose wasn't a superficial thing. I didn't know where it was coming from or why.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until I realized that it was a misunderstanding of identity. It had
Mm.
nothing to do with fashion or media. It was just a confusion over identity and to forgive myself, to truly forgive myself. Ho'oponopono,
Yes.
that was, I mean, and really just a casual conversation of, whoa, I was out of alignment. My bad.
Mm.
Like it was
Yes.
just an understanding, wow, I wasn't aligned. I wasn't aware. And how
Mm.
wonderful it is that I am now.
Mm. Wow. Wow. So, what was your key misunderstanding that was corrected that helped you to address that eating disorder? Because that key misunderstanding may help many of our viewers as well.
That key misunderstanding was that the feeling of love that I received while dancing was external.
Okay.
I believed that the love that I experienced on a stage was sourced from the audience.
Mm.
And I felt that that was the only way really that I could get it. I felt that that was my identity. I was Tracy the dancer, and I wowed people. I entertained people. I brought them joy.
Mm-hmm.
And the understanding that I did not pick up on until decades later is that the love that I was experiencing was my freedom, was
Mm.
my ability to connect with music and just freely flow and be present in my own space. And I don't have to just receive that on a stage dancing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a feeling in my heart that I can experience while journaling, while going for a
Yes.
walk, feeding birds. But there's so
Yes.
many ways because I kept latching on to, oh, I'm going to have to, I got to get into a leotard and into a ballet studio if I'm going to feel love. No, it's the
Mm.
feeling of freedom and connection and presence.
Oh wow. Let's work with that a little bit more for our audience because so many humans we believe that the source of love is outside of us. We believe that the source of love is something that we can't control even though we try, and we get all wrapped around the axle trying to control what we believe to be the sources of love. So for our audience there may be many external things that they believe are sources of love in the same way that you believed your audience was the source of love.
Mm-hmm.
But then you realized that the source of love was not dancing for an audience and receiving their accolades. The source of love was the source at one with the love within you. And dancing was your expression of source energy in your unique way to express and be love. So to be loved, you needed to be love.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yes.
And that and our audience can identify with that. To be loved, you must be love. Be love. Be in alignment with love.
Mm-hmm.
Be aware of love's presence. Live in love. Let love live through you. Connect with love. Commune with love. Allow love to take over. To be loved, you must be love.
Right. And
And
in order to be love, you need to be aligned with your truth,
yes,
right?
yes,
Not distracted by the external, be aligned with what's in your heart. And that could
yes.
be something that's achieved simply by just at any moment closing my eyes and taking 3 deep breaths
Mm-hmm.
and saying, I'm present.
Mm.
And everything, all of the distractions fade away. And it's
Yes.
important to me to check in throughout the day, every day.
Mm-hmm. I am present and so is love, for wherever I am, love is. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Well, you know what I want to do, Tracy? I want us to explore some ways to cultivate that energy of self love and to magnify that energy of self love so that it can heal our lives the way it has healed yours. And I
Yes.
also want to review some of our viewers' questions, and I want us to answer some of those questions. So we'll do all of that on the other side of the break here on the Miracle of Prosperity.
New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
It was a treat. It was a bonding. It was a celebration of men. It was a celebration of men who want to deepen in their spiritual awareness of one another, of themselves.
Welcome. We are a brotherhood of spiritually minded and open-hearted positive men. We invite you to join us.
And I came in knowing one person, I left knowing all of the group. And I feel like I came in knowing meeting strangers, but knowing and leaving brothers.
Come experience the New Thought Men's Gathering, Foundations 2024. Friday, March 15th through Sunday, March 17th. With Reverend Robert Brzezinski, Reverend Patrick Creelman, Reverend Eamon Duffy, and special guest musician Jamie Lula. In Vernonia, Oregon, at Camp Cedar Ridge. Learn more and register at www.newthoughtmens.community.
And we're back here on the New Thought Media Network with the Miracle of Prosperity and Tracy Interlandi. So, Tracy, before we go forward, what is your definition of self-love?
My definition of self-love is self-alignment. It's alignment. It's funny because it's almost like self-love is a redundant term because self is love.
Oh, I love that.
Right? So it's like
Yeah.
love. So, and I always understood self-love to be like getting a manicure or a massage or just go shopping. And
Mhm.
that they kind of feel like chores to me. That just didn't resonate with me. No.
Yeah.
And so I finally realized I can figure out my own ideas of alignment. It doesn't have to be the bubble bath, right?
So it's beyond the mani-pedi and beyond the spa day.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. That's wonderful. Now, I was looking through some of your work, and you divided ways to attain more of an awareness of self love in two ways. One was maintenance, and one was cleanup. Can you explain that to our viewers?
Yes. Maintenance is a fun one. Maintenance is the everyday bringing more enjoyment to every experience.
Okay.
It's typically, for me, sourced externally because moments are fleeting. So ideas of this could be a heating pad on my shoulders while I'm working at my desk, or listening to stand-up comedy while I'm folding laundry, just bringing more pleasure to each moment.
Is that sort of
Whereas,
like Amani Glover's pleasure scale where you look around and how can I increase my pleasure in this and every moment?
totally, Amani Glover, she was on your show about a year or two ago,
Yeah,
and she spoke about the pleasure scale. Check in
yes.
and think, how could I be more comfortable and enjoy this more, whatever it may be.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that's always fun. And by doing that, then I feel more relaxed and therefore dilated and open to receive,
Mm,
right? To receive
yes.
insight, clarity,
Hmm.
prosperity.
Yes. So in other words, the ongoing maintenance stuff is literally to open you to an awareness of more love so that you can then receive and be a conduit of more love. Kind of like yoga opens you to the universal energy so that you can receive it better. So let's call maintenance yoga and make it
May, yes, that's the yoga, mental and emotional and physical yoga. Yes.
okay. Okay. Then tell us about cleanup.
Cleanup. So I think the cleanup is fun as well, even though it may not show up as fun initially. Cleanup is when something presents itself, when it throws me off of my peace.
Mm,
Something that brings some disturbance, or I lose my temper, self-criticism or self-doubt.
hmm.
That's when I know I'll catch myself and say, ooh, something's coming up to heal.
Mm,
And that's more, instead of being sourced externally, like the maintenance, this is sourced internally. This is more reflection. This is internal because this is bringing more uh, enjoyment and healing to our existence, which is eternal.
yes.
So this could be journaling.
Hmm.
This could be sleep, meditation, being in nature.
Hmm.
This is very, very internal for me. And I find it important to allow myself to do that, because sleep might come off as lazy, but when it's necessary for healing, it does huge amounts for us.
Okay, okay. So this is what we traditionally call the inner work, which I'm going to rename inner play, the inner
Yeah.
work of prosperity. Cultivating that inner consciousness, that inner awareness of love, and addressing anything within our consciousness, unlike love, so that our consciousness can vibrate with the love that invites, attracts, allows, and channels through all forms of prosperity.
Yes.
So how are the maintenance and the cleanup related?
Oh, well, I would say that the maintenance keeps us open and ready to receive,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
By remaining open, any sort of stress or anxiety has me feeling constricted. And
Mm,
so that's
okay.
going to call for maintenance of, whoa, okay, we want to open up. We want
Mm-hmm.
to relax.
Mm-hmm.
So that when it's the cleanup time, when something comes and really throws me off my piece, triggers me in some way,
Mm-hmm.
that's when it's time for me to go in and find out, okay, I'm open, I'm ready to receive healing. Let's find out what's going on.
Okay. Okay. So tell me about your process of cleanup. We all do it in slightly different ways, but the essence of it is quite similar. So I'd like to hear your version of what would a cleanup be? If you were triggered out of your piece, how would you clean that up?
Okay, yes. So I always begin really by stepping back and looking at it as an observer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this could be similar to when you're going for a walk in nature, for example, and you feel a pebble in your shoe. You're going to stop and remove the shoe and take the pebble out because that's what caused this discomfort.
Yes.
Similarly, what I'm going to do is remove, instead of the shoe, it might be the person, the traffic jam, the chore. That's external. It's not the person that's triggering me. It's the belief. So I'm going to remove the person and figure out what's this belief that's upsetting me.
In other words, focus on you and not the stimulus that triggered you. Because the stimulus that triggered you was simply being used by God to get your attention, because God said in your spiritual curriculum, to which you agreed as a soul, it is time for growth.
Totally. It's an invitation.
Yes.
It's an invitation, and it brings huge amounts of joy ultimately. So I get excited. Like if I lose my temper.
Growth opportunity. Yay!
It's so true. I raised my voice a few weeks ago, and then I stopped and I said to my husband, "Ooh, something's coming up for healing." He's like, "I feel a blog coming on, Trace." But it's really cool the way it works out. So once I remove that external, that person or external thing, and identify what that belief, that limiting belief was, or that self-critical belief, that's when I need to find the root of it, right? Because just like a weed, we all know you need to remove a weed by the root. If it's not, it will come back nonstop. So to do that, I go back, I find out, where did this come from?
Yes.
And it'll stand out to me. It'll be a memory that I'm aware of and vivid. And I usually keep digging until I figure out that point. Where did I go from being a carefree kiddo to feeling this unworthiness, not enoughness, self-doubt? And that's when I need to look at it from, like I'm watching a movie, really.
Yeah. You're detached. You're above it.
Yeah. And really just see that if someone else was involved, it typically does involve words, because words are so powerful. If it's words that were said to me, I want to identify what their positive intention was.
Yes. Give us the example of you were built just like your grandmother. I love that example.
This is a funny one.
Yes.
And I've shared this with my mom, and she cracked up. She's like, "What?" When I was 12, my mother and I were in Woody's shopping for back to school clothes, and I had put on some clothes, and I was standing in front of the mirror, and she stepped back and she said, "Oh, you're built just like your grandmother," with this big smile on her face. And my heart dropped. My grandmother was at least 70 at the time. And I'm like no 12-year-old wants to be built like a 70-year-old. And I'll never forget it. I put the clothes back. I said, "You know what? Baggy jeans. Let's do the baggy jeans." We went into the boys section. I picked out baggy jeans and a baggy sweater, and I was ashamed of my body. And that's something that did involve healing. That was an easy one for me now to say, "Oh my gosh, Trace, my grandmother was a ballerina when she was younger. She was tall, strong, long legs." That's what my mother was saying. That was her intention.
Yes. And she also saw in you in that moment and felt for you in that moment that same unconditional love that passes from mother to daughter to granddaughter, and the lineage and the energetic connection, the soul connection between the three of you. And so it was actually a divine moment that sparked a divine healing.
It surely did. It surely did. That one does make me laugh. But yes, that's a positive intention situation.
Yes.
Now, there will be times when there wasn't any positive intention. And that is where that's that other person's healing journey, right?
Yes.
And
they didn't have a positive intention because they were hurting, and they projected their hurt onto you, perhaps by saying a hurtful word that had nothing to do with you, but was a reflection of their inner hurt. that came up for healing?
Totally. Totally. And, it's something where I heard years ago, forgive if there was something that had happened. I had a ballet instructor who, when I was in college, I was in class, it was right after our lunch break. And at the bar, he yelled across the studio, "Tracy, I can see your lunch. Suck in your stomach." I was so mad at him. And that planted a little seed, planted
Yeah.
a huge seed in the disordered eating.
Mm-hmm.
And, I do forgive him, and I don't even condemn him. Of course, he had clearly been going through something of his own to cast that
Yes.
out on me.
Yes.
So, and just like if I were to walk by someone
Mm-hmm.
who was injured,
Mm-hmm.
I would help them. I would call 911.
Mm-hmm.
And in that instance, in that example, that gentleman was healing from something, needed to heal from something, and had something that was unlike love. And I'm not going to walk away from that. I want to share healing with him. So that is how I've learned to truly let go of any sort of grudge or poor feelings against someone who may have planted some illusions in my mind.
Okay. Okay. Now we had a question from Deb Thomas. She wants you to talk about the parts of you that needed love, because we keep alluding to identifying parts of us that come up for healing that needed love. And I know that so many of us work with different parts, and sometimes they're archetypes. So if you can talk about the parts of you that needed love ever so briefly.
Oh, absolutely. The parts of me that needed love were, number one, my truth of who I am,
Okay.
of who I am eternally.
Mm.
And that brought me an understanding of eternal love, eternal peace, eternal joy,
Okay.
and a sanctuary, my spirit being my sanctuary. Something else that has come up for healing in self-love is fear of judgment. That's something that I carried probably since dance competitions.
Yes.
All of
Okay.
my memories go back to that. Judgment was part of my career as a dancer. And my skin was a little thin, and that's okay. So healing from that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And
and I
that's
think also
universal.
a feeling of belonging,
Tell
for
us about
sure.
that.
The feeling of
Yes.
belonging.
Yes. Tell us about
Uh,
that.
so my feeling of belonging, that is something where I always felt like I didn't fit in.
Mm-hmm.
And what I know now that I didn't realize then is that I never really spoke what was on my mind. How was I to know whether or not I fit in? And it wasn't until I really began to speak what was on my mind and share these internal conversations that I've been having with myself
Mm-hmm.
that have brought so many connections with so many beautiful people. And that was the key, really, was to giving myself the courage and permission to speak
Mm-hmm.
what I was thinking, which brought connection with others.
Yes. People, you didn't fit in because you didn't know who you were, and people didn't know who you were.
Yeah.
And these are such universal needs. And it sounds like you have addressed so many of those needs through the processes that you've worked through to develop a consciousness of self love. So, what are some of the things you do regularly to maintain that consciousness of self love, Tracy? And what kind of things can you
Lately, I've
share?
been very aligned with Mother Earth,
Mm-hmm.
Gaia, nature. So that has been a big piece of alignment, right? Self-love, self-alignment.
Yes.
Of course, meditation and stillness
Mm-hmm.
and joy. Getting joy into as many parts of the day, whether it be stand-up comedy or being totally goofy with my kids.
Yes.
Um, dancing freely in the kitchen. That's
Uh-huh.
so important. Not holding myself to rules.
Okay.
And by that, I mean consistency of gotta work out every morning, gotta journal every morning. I'm very much in tune with what's compelling me to do what I do.
Yes. In other words, going with the flow instead of beating yourself up with a false schedule that creates false expectations, causing you to feel even worse about yourself when you miss a false expectation.
You nailed it.
I
Yes.
get it. I
Yes.
get it. Yes. So these are ways that we can practice and experience self-love through the day. Take a joy break. Tell that lady in the other room whose name we shall not mention to play a song that brings you joy.
Yes. Yes.
She's listening all the time, isn't she? And she'll play the song, even if you're. Sometimes she'll play a song before you get it out your mouth because she knows you're thinking about it because she knows you better than you know you.
100%. That's right.
She's been listening to your conversations for years now.
Right. Right. Speak it out loud. Yes.
Yes, yes, beautiful, beautiful. So we've got some other questions, and we're going to get to them on the other side of the break. We're going to go to break right now, and we'll answer the rest of your questions on the other side here on The Miracle of Prosperity.
Choice, your creative superpower. We have the power to manifest as we dedicate attention to our thoughts, but often miss opportunity to achieve the greatest good. Your superpower is waiting to be unleashed to unlock a fuller, more rewarding world for all. Join us every Thursday at noon Mountain Time for Choice, your creative superpower with Zoe DeMuro.
So we're back here on The Miracle of Prosperity with Tracy Interlandi. Tracy, I do understand that you've got a new book out that you were a contributing author to. Can you tell us the title of the book and tell us a little about it?
I would love to. Yes, it is called Deserts to Mountaintops, Choosing Our Healing Through Radical Self-Acceptance. It is an anthology of stories that a variety of women have shared, written about, telling their story of their desert moment to the mountaintop and how their journey unfolded. And I feel that even though so many of the stories, all of the stories are wildly different, the end of each story, spoiler alert, is that we're all love. Everything has happened for a reason. Everything puts us on our path that we're meant to be on. And we give thanks. I give thanks. And we're all one.
Wow. That's so exciting because it seems to have come out just a couple of days ago. Tell us about that.
It did. It launched January 25th.
Okay.
And it hit #1 in 4 categories on Amazon. And it is Jessica Buchanan. How could I not mention her? Jessica Buchanan is the North Star of this project. Jessica is a wonderful speaker, survivor, woman spirit who I feel that part of her purpose is to bring connection among people who have been in the desert and to shine that light and project that light for others who might still be in the desert. We're up here and we're hoping that this story is essentially us reaching our hand out to someone who's still coming up their mountain from that desert.
Wonderful.
And Soul Speak Press, I would also like to mention that that is the publisher who walked us through this process.
Wow. Absolutely wonderful and so exciting. And out for a little over a week now. I got to get my copy from Amazon. Oops, I shouldn't say that because the lady listening will say, "Do you want to order that?" I have to get my I have to get my copy. Guess what's probably going to show up in my feed tomorrow because
Right.
the lady listening has probably already heard this.
It's going to pop up on your feed. Yes.
It's going to pop up on my feed first thing in the morning. I'm going to say, "Buy that."
Yes. And please know there's also an audiobook. I'm big into audiobooks that will be released in March. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Exciting. Something else to look forward to.
Yeah.
We'll have to have you back then. So it sounds like you're working on quite some exciting stuff, Tracy.
Yes. It's, right now I'm in the take a deep breath and enjoy this view of the mountain for now. Go with the flow. There's sometimes when we achieve our visions, I feel, I don't know if anyone else can relate to this, but it's like, what's next? What do I do next? And
when you make the pie, take a moment to stick a fork in it, smell the cinnamon and the nutmeg, smell the crust, see the steam rising, appreciate it, look at the golden brown crust with sugar flecks on top. Take
You've
it
done
all
this
in,
before.
take a forkful and just enjoy it.
Yes, totally. So that's what I'm doing. What are you up to, Reverend Jim?
Oh, well, I'm up to something quite interesting, but only for the next 10 days. For the next 10 days, I'm doing a special set of heart readings. I am calling them heart healing readings. And the purpose of these readings, as the guides who work with me and through me have said, is to help people to heal their hearts, to open their hearts, and to vibrate more with love than ever before, especially in this season of love. So these heart healing readings may involve healing your heart from a hurt that you sustained with someone. It may involve opening your heart to love where your heart has been broken. But all of these readings involve focusing on healing the heart. Now, I've made these readings available to those on my mailing list because I am doing them at a special price. Instead of my regular price, I'm doing them at a discount, but only to people who are on my mailing list. So if you want one of these readings, you want to sign up for my mailing list, you go to my website, www.revjimwebb.com, and where it says contact, you simply fill out a contact form. Because the only people that these readings are available for this discounted price, and it's only between now and February 14th, the only people these readings are available for at this discounted price are people who are on my mailing list. So go to revjimwebb.com, click contact, put your contact information in, then you get a healing heart reading, and you get it at a discounted price, discounted off of my regular price. and that's for the next 10 days.
That's awesome. So everyone gets their individual reading?
Yes,
I love
everyone
that.
gets their individual reading, and it's a heart healing reading. And Spirit just said, there are so many who are ready to heal their hearts in order to go to the next level. And this is the time for this is, in a sense, heart opening month and heart healing month. So they said, let's do this. Let's focus on healing the heart in these heart healing readings. We'll do a discount. They didn't say that. They said, do something to promote it. And so I said, okay, we'll do a discount. and and do it to, do it to the people that you can handle. So my most loyal fans are those who are on my mailing list. So I wanted to give a reward to the people who are my most loyal fans, those who are on my mailing list. But anyone here can be on my can be my loyal fan by going on to my website and putting in a contact form, and you get the discount. So that's what I'm up to.
Awesome. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're both doing a lot of wonderful work. I love having had this conversation with you. I am just so amazingly overjoyed that our paths crossed almost 2 years ago now. And it has been a pleasure and a joy and an enlightening journey. I'm so glad that you've been so effective with our viewers tonight, and I'm sure they thank you as well. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, Tracy Interlandi, and we will have you back again here on the New Thought Media Network.